Welcome to the show. This is K24 This Morning. My name is Jeff Mota. Karibu sana. Of course, every single day right here on the show, we start off by looking at our dailies, look at the front pages of what you're waking up to, but also dig deeper and have pertinent conversations on really where we are going as a country, economically, politically, and otherwise. Today, we'll be doing exactly that, but we're looking at a decision made miles away, thousands of miles away in the United States of America, and how that will impact Kenya. You know, America's decision, Kenya's expectations. That's a discussion we'll be having right here in studio with a very able panel looking at it both politically in terms of where we stand diplomatically as well, but also looking at the bottom line as far as how trade will be impacted from this particular decision made in America. That's a discussion we'll be having right here in studio. As always, we love it when you're part of the discussion. You can get me on WhatsApp. The WhatsApp number is at the bottom of the screen. You can also tweet me at I am Jeff Morte or at K24 TV. Before we get to that particular discussion, let's look at the front pages of your dailies and see what you're waking up to this morning. Front page of the PD, what Biden's victory means. Whereas some experts think the incoming president will be good for Kenya and Africa, others say Trump was Nairobi's best bet, having okayed direct flights to US and started negotiations for a bilateral trade deal. This is where it stands right now. As you can see right there, victorious embrace between Kamala Harris, of course, and President Joe Biden right there as they celebrate what could be their win right there. But even as you look at that, still on the front page of the PD, Trump's dilemma, exit or get evicted. That's where it stands right now, and of course, really unprecedented times with this happening in the United States of America. That story is on page 8 of your People Daily. Bringing matters closer home, though, over the weekend, more than 2,000 arrested for breaking curfew rules. That story can be found on page 5 as the government tightens how they're dealing with the regulations as far as Ministry of Health protocols are concerned. That story is on page 5, once again, of your People Daily. And don't forget, you can get your People Daily straight to your phone. By the way, it's only 10 shillings. You don't need any data for that. You don't need a mobile app for that as well. Just a number star 550 star 4 hash. Once again, the number is star 550 star 4 hash. Dial that number, get yourself a copy of your People Daily straight to your phone. It's brought to you by the PD and Safaricom. Let's move it along to the front page of the Daily Nation now. MCAs face legal horror in 2022. A law passed in 2012 has come back to haunt politicians as they must now have a degree to run for any seat. But the County Assembly's forum has vowed to move to court to block requirements. This particular requirement, they say, is unconstitutional and against the will of the people. This can be found on page 4 of your Daily Nation, the details of that therein. Also, the Daily Nation putting a face to the numbers that we hear every single day during our COVID-19 updates from the Ministry of Health. Gone with Corona, the ones we lost. And you look at there from lecturers at the University of Nairobi, Maurice Mangoli, to Robert Ayisi, who was a former county secretary at Nairobi County. Former University of Nairobi sociology lecturer as well, Ken Ouk, of course, just painting pictures and putting a face to what we're hearing every single day in terms of these particular statistics. And that story can be found in your copy of your Daily Nation on page 10 and 11. And as you look at that, of course, we're also urging you to follow the Ministry of Health protocols, wear your mask, wash your hands, observe social distance, because this really is the only proven way right now to deal with this particular COVID-19 virus. And that can be found on page 10 and 11. As you look at that as well, also on the political front, BBI, Uhuru Raila to meet governors and ward reps, handshake partners in bid to quell this particular rebellion. From there, that story is on page 5 of your Daily Nation today. And also in the Daily Nation, on the back page, that is, Ruto not losing any sleep over ICC case. This from his lawyer, Kato Keegan. He says the case against DP collapsed because allegations were unfounded. But with the lawyer Paul Gishero now at the ICC, very many questions have been asked, and of course, people wondering whether the ghost of the International Criminal Court has been resurrected. That again on the back page of your Daily Nation. Moving it along to the front page of the Standard now. Isolated. World leaders abandon Trump. The High Office slowly slipped away from an increasingly forlorn American president who refused to concede defeat. Yesterday, a dark gloom hung over the White House upon realization that Trump's second term had gone up in smoke following Joe Biden's election win. They're going into details on this particular story on page 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And even with that on the front page, of course, we can see the congratulatory messages to Joe Biden from Israeli PM Netanyahu, UK Prime Minister as well, Boris Johnson, and the Indian Prime Minister as well, and Narendra Modi right there. You can find that in your copy of your Standard. And as we look at that, governors and MCAs drop demands to back up BBI, hence why the two principals need to meet this particular constituency. They're calling this the next battleground. Leaders meet in Naivasha this week with a raft of demands they want met before supporting the Building Bridges initiative. That is on page 8 of your Standard this morning. And as we look at that, county hospitals crippled as 6 billion shillings worth of PPEs lie idle at KEMSA. Lack of critical medical equipment due to inaction at government agency immobilizes counties, exposing health workers and patients to virus as suppliers cry foul. The question now is, who will come to their aid? This is on page 9 of your Standard this morning. And also in the Standard, of course, in your My Health pullout right there. And it's a good thing because we also have a doctor on our panel today. Manhood transplants to become a reality in Kenya. What a story for a Monday morning. You can find that as well inside your My Health pullout of your Standard today. Finally, front page of the Star. Governors list their demands for BBI support. County chiefs, among others, want the power to hire and fire their deputies. That can be found on page 4 and 5 of your Star this morning. And also, as you look at that, still on the political circles in the Star, Ford K rivals clash over meeting to kick out Moses Wetangula. That story can be found in your copy of your Star as well, that on page 8. So as you can see, really right across your dailies right now, it's either matters BBI, but also a key focus on what really is happening abroad as far as America's decision is concerned, and President Joe Biden's victory, and Trump's dilemma whether to exit or get evicted. We're discussing that right here in studio. We love it when you're part of that discussion. From here, we discuss America's decision, Kenya's expectations. Welcome aboard. This is K24 This Morning. Okay, welcome back. Let me get right to my panel, of course, right here in studio, joined by Arnold Maleba. He's a public policy analyst. He's been away for a while. Welcome back to the show, my brother.
Thank you.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
Also, I must say this is the first time I've met a Kenyan Aston Villa fan. You know, we're discussing this right before you went on. First, Kenyan Aston Villa fan, Reginald Kazutu, joining us on the show, an economic analyst as well, when he's not supporting Aston Villa. Good morning, Reginald.
Good morning, Jeff.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Asante sana. And also joined by a gentleman who had a front seat as all of this took place, as America decided quite an unprecedented type of an election. John Gitawa Rimo joining us on the show. He's a nuclear medical scientist as well, and a leadership strategist as well. Good morning, Daktari, and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Asante sana. Thanks for making time. Thank you so much for making time to be on the show, joining us straight from Atlanta. But before we get there, let's set the stage, paint some pictures and give you some sounds of what really transpired, of course, as America decided. This, of course, being what we're terming as President-elect Joe Biden. Let's take a look at this particular speech that he gave.
Folks, the people of this nation have spoken. They've delivered us a clear victory, a convincing victory, a victory for we the people. We've won with the most votes ever cast from presidential ticket in the history of the nation. 74 million. Folks, our work begins with getting COVID under control. We cannot repair the economy, restore our vitality, or relish life's most precious moments, hugging our grandchildren, our children, our birthdays, weddings, graduations, all the moments that matter most to us until we get it under control. On Monday, I will name a group of leading scientists and experts as transition advisors to help take the Biden-Harris COVID plan and convert it into an action blueprint that will start on January the 20th, 2021. That plan will be built on bedrock science. It will be constructed out of compassion, empathy, and concern. I will spare no effort, none, or any commitment to turn around this pandemic. Folks, I'm a proud Democrat, but I will govern as an American president.
Speech from President-elect Joe Biden right there. Let's get right to this. I want to start with Dr. John on this one, because you had a front row seat as all of this was happening. We were observing it, you were living it. What was your assessment of, indeed, very many records having been broken in terms of the voter turnout as well, but it almost felt like America, for the first time, had its democracy on trial?
Yeah, thank you, John. Thank you, Jeff, for having me this morning from Atlanta, Georgia. First of all, before I begin, I want to congratulate Dr. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris for being president-elect and VP-elect. And actually, and also congratulate all the people that voted for them and everybody in the Democratic Party for winning this run. Basically, voter turnout this year was extraordinary due to the fact that so many things have been happening in the U.S. that have triggered so many things that people were annoyed by the current president. So a lot of folks that really don't really vote really came out to vote around this time. And so basically, democracy came out because, for instance, in a state like Georgia, where a lot of black people reside, there have been so much voter suppression. And that's what kind of triggered so many people to come up with a mechanism to kind of fight those voter suppression. We have like one of the gubernatorial, last election gubernatorial aspirant, basically one of the ladies, she kind of like came out and brought out the black people that are being suppressed. And that's why we are seeing a lot of turnout and because of all the inconsistencies and all the violence and violence we have in the U.S. today.
Let me bring that to studio as well, even as we look at this as it stands right now. Arnold, you're looking at a very interesting headline, Trump's dilemma, exit or get evicted. We've never had that, at least in our lifetimes, from a U.S. sitting president. How does the United States move forward from this particular election?
Well, as much as we have never had that in our lifetime, this was almost expected because you come to think of it and you see that, as in, this is just typically Trump. No one really is surprised that he's doing what he's doing and he's behaving the way he's behaving. If you remember in the last elections, he still said it was rigged. So when he won, it was rigged. He still said that a number of places, he talked about polling places that were being rigged. So same thing happened in 2016 and this time round. So I'm not really, on that particular front, I'm not surprised, but we want to believe that the American systems work as we have always seen and think that they do. So we do not anticipate that there is going to be a crisis of sorts. Okay. In fact, if you look at the days they've waited, in many African countries, if you have to wait for that long, then you know that things go south. So as much as all of us were waiting, and of course, including local media, had to focus on that end, you have to accept that the American election is their best export. Okay. It is one thing that is actually sold everywhere. So we would really love to see how America deals with this African problem, quote unquote, because you expect to see such drama in Africa. Okay. But we would really love to see how the Americans deal with it.
Yeah. Okay, I'll be getting back to Dr. John in just a bit, so hold on to that particular thought, John. But let me get to Reginald on this very quickly from where you stand, of course, monitoring what's happening in America. But when you look at that in terms of the numbers, what will you be following very keenly? They give usually a metric of the first 100 days. For you, when you look at that, what are the numbers you'll be trying to see? What are you trying to look at economically between Kenya and America if Biden gets in?
Well, that's at least a good statement, because they're still going to court. Right. And they can rule in any other direction. And I have a funny feeling that from my own perspective, a lot of people will be left with a lot of egg on their face.
You think it's not over yet?
Yes. I don't think. If you look at the process, this is media calling him president-elect. The governors still have to send the certificates by December 8th. Then the college meets, I think, around December 14th. After the college meets on December 14th, then Congress meets around December 26th. So it's still very far from over. And like what Trump's lawyer says, media does not decide who becomes president in the country. So let's wait for the court process. If Biden does become president, in terms of the numbers we look at, and in terms of Kenya, from his speech, the part of the speech he has just mentioned, if he's going to deal with the pandemic the way he's hoping to deal with the pandemic, which is to close down the US economy, then the global economy is in for disaster. Because once the biggest economy shuts down, there's a big impact on aggregate demand. So we'll actually be looking at, if Biden comes in, how is he going to deal with the pandemic? If he goes the route of closing down, then we are in for a very rough ride for the period that he will have closed down. So his treatment of the pandemic is going to be key to realize what will happen in the first 100 days of Biden in terms of the impact on the global economy.
Right. Okay, let me get Dr. John back on this particular conversation, because it's not only about, when it comes to international relations as well, but also when you distill it to not between states, but between individuals. How is this impacting Kenyans living in the United States? What's their take on all that's going on right now? Because I'm sure very many people watching what will happen in terms of America's immigration stance and letting immigrants in on this one. What's their take on this? What's your assessment of the feeling on the ground on this particular issue?
Thank you, Jeff. As you know, a majority of Kenyans are in the United States right now. About 80% of them are not documented, just for lack of better words, or just to use the right term. They're not documented because most of them are illegal immigrants. So for most of them right now, we are kind of very happy about Joe Biden, because the Democratic Party actually supports immigrants and give them a pathway to citizenship, or pathway to another program called DACA, which actually basically give pathway to kids of immigrants that came here as small children. So the Democratic Party actually supports immigrants. So Kenya's immigrants they're very, very happy about it. The outgoing president, Donald Trump, he was against immigration, he was against immigrants. He think they're coming to take American jobs. He think they're coming to at one time he called them rapists and thieves and murderers. So we felt as an immigration community, we felt like we are not wanted by this current president. But for Joe Biden, we can remember he was President Obama was vice president, and President Obama his name is a child of an immigrant. So he supports immigration. America is a melting pot of immigrants. So for the current president to be against immigration or immigrants who have built this country from scratch, we felt kind of beat down. But now that he's going, we have so much hope and anticipate that immigration reforms, it's going to change, and you're going to be able to have pathway for most of the immigrants that are in the United States, have a pathway to citizenship, or have a pathway to living comfortably in this land of milk and honey.
It's interesting, even as you say that, because I hope you heard what Reginald said, in the sense that, yes, the world might be calling Joe Biden president-elect, but we are not yet out of the woods on this one. What's your sentiment on that? That, yes, everyone is celebrating from the Democratic camp, but you still have a couple of more months and days to go before we actually have this done and dusted.
Yes, Jeff, there are some few legal processes that are going on right now because the current president doesn't want to accept that he lost the election. But clearly, even half of his party members have actually told him, hey, listen, go ahead and concede, accept that you've been defeated. Now, even though it's not official yet by U.S. laws and regulations that we can call him president-elect, because the Electoral College that actually votes for the president do that, I think, around December the 14th. So, but, numbers don't lie. So the numbers, right now, in this case, a projection of he's a president-elect, but we know the numbers are there. There's been a smooth election. Enough electoral colleges. He has enough electoral colleges, more than 270 that is required. So even before we wait for December the 14th, when the electors actually decide who to vote on, we already know that he won the popular votes. He won enough college votes. So we know he's gonna get it. For instance, in Georgia the other day, when they had those legal matters that were brought up in Georgia, within few hours when they brought to court, they were thrown out, and a few other states threw out those legal matters. So I'm thinking even that upcoming legal matters are going to be thrown out, no doubt.
Okay. Interesting, the confidence that you have. We'll wait and see how this process also plays out as we get into December 14th as well. Arnold, I'll come to you because there's something interesting John has spoken about, the fact that, very many Kenyans living undocumented in the United States with a Biden presidency, because Trump was really strict with, visa regulations there. Even asylum seekers really had to go through stringent measures to get in. Do you feel when Biden comes in, there's a change in that as far as the Democratic Party is concerned, more Kenyans, more immigrants get into the United States?
Well, I don't think it's just a Kenyan issue because the U.S. is not across the pond, like just over the border here. So the logistics that get you to America is a little bit, from Kenya is a little bit complex. Mm-hmm. So yes, Obama had what they used to call the Dreamers Act or framework that would help the undocumented immigrants who are there and met the threshold to be registered. Of course, that is what Trump came in, and he used that to really whip up emotions. So yes, I hope that when he comes in, a lot of dream chasers, a lot of those dreamers who are out there would actually have some hope, would actually have some place to stand. But then the U.S. is not just a place where Africans and Kenyans at that will sneak in. There are a lot of South Americans who actually have come in. They also face the same dilemma. But the U.S. is a country of immigrants in the first place. It's a country, it's a rainbow country that is what it is because of the so many talents that congregate on that particular piece of land. So I know, and Democrats really believe that talent comes from across the globe. They will really want to harness a lot of them that are actually coming up and about. But I want to go back to what he said. The story about if Biden is sworn in.
Yes.
Anyone who still wants to push that narrative is holding on hope. And it must be remembered, we've said that a lot of times here, that hope is not a strategy. Even the media projecting, the media has not declared him the winner. The media simply projected. And they are using a time-tested way of doing things. The laws that do exist. Even on December 14th, when the Electoral College meets to cast their vote, they are casting it with laws that are set. It is understood how you then cast your vote, depending on how the popular vote was cast. And then there is the meeting on 6th by the Congress to just open up and prove that the votes that were cast by the Electoral College are what they are. So the only thing that I'm actually looking at going forward is the election, the rerun on 5th to determine the Georgia senator. And that for me is important because it will then determine if the Democrats have a majority in the Senate.
In the House.
Mm-hmm. That for me is the biggest hurdle going forward. Otherwise, it's
the presidency is done.
The presidency is done unless you're sticking on hope. And I need to insist that hope is not a strategy.
Okay.
Two, miracles also do happen. So we might really consider people like Daktari who still think that something could happen. Miracles do happen. Okay. I have always said there is even a church called Maximum Miracle Center. So miracles happen.
We're inching closer to our first break on the show right here. Don't forget, we also have our question of the day for you. We'd love you to weigh in on this particular one. As we wait for this particular process to be finished, let's have that question up on the screen. Do you think a Biden presidency will have any impact on Kenya? We'd like to know what impact that will be. Do you think a Biden presidency will have any impact on Kenya? And what do you think that impact will be? The WhatsApp number is at the bottom of the screen. You can also get me at I am Jeff Mote or at K24TV. Once again, do you think the Biden presidency will have an impact on Kenya and Kenya's relations with the United States of America? What do you think that impact will be? The WhatsApp number is there. You can also get me at I am Jeff Mote or at K24TV. Reginald, let me come to you very quickly. We have a minute before we get to our first break. Right now, even as we have what could be a transition between Republicans and Democrats, we had the free trade agreement negotiations that are still taking place. Very quickly as we get into the break, do you feel the tone and tenor of that changes with changes in presidents, or do we still move the same way we were before?
It won't change much because, again, America is a country of institutions and most of these things are not reliant on a president. So if you're looking at how the United States interacts in terms of aid or financial foreign direct investment, you need to look at the BUILD Act, which came in during Trump's period. So you realize there are a lot of things that Trump put in place that are especially beneficial for lower middle income countries, low income countries. So I don't think that will change. The only thing that we'll see most probably changing when Biden comes in, or the Democrats come in, is the increase in funding in things which are not really essential for African growth. Right. Rights on abortion, rights on gays, rights on... Democrats are very liberal and they will spend a lot of money on that. But I don't think the free trade agreement will suffer anything from Biden coming into presidency.
Okay. Yeah. Fine, we'll take our first break at this particular point in time. Of course, we want you to weigh in on these particular stories as well. You can get me at I am Jeff Morton or at K24 TV. On a light note, I've seen someone here, and it has been quite the subject of conversation throughout the weekend. Aaron Mutesa saying probably now we need a handshake in America as well. We've seen there even the number 2 had quite a high number of voters. BBI pelekwe huko. Okay, Aaron Mutesa, I hear you on that. Keep them coming in. You can get me at I am Jeff Mote or at K24 TV. The WhatsApp number at the bottom of the screen. Back after the break. This is K24 This Morning.